You've probably seen elite runners fly over the ground, making running look effortless. It's easy to assume they were just born to run that way, but what if I told you that perfect running form isn't something you're born with, but something you can learn? And it does not matter at what pace you're running at. With a few small adjustments, you can run smoother, faster, and with less pain. So after coaching thousands of runners and competing against some of the best runners in the world, I'm gonna break down the 5 elements that makes up a perfect running form and give you actionable steps you can take right now to start running like the pros. And trust me, if you feel like your running form just looks a bit weird or you're dealing with nagging pain, then this video is going to be a game changer. I'm also going to show you how to maintain good running form at different speeds and how to fix some common mistakes. But first, you're probably wondering, what is perfect running form? Here's a simple way of defining it. A perfect running form reduces any wasted energy, minimizes the risk of injury, and maximizes your forward motion. So let's break it down. Most people assume that running is all about the legs, but here's the truth. Good running form starts from the top down. Your posture, your arm movement, and even how you hold your hands can make or break your efficiency. So let's start with your head position. First, you want to keep your head aligned with your spine. Don't look down at your feet. That's going to pull your posture forward and start to flex your spine. Instead, look straight ahead. Next, you need to think about your ears staying in line with your shoulders. If your head is sticking forward, then you're creating tension in your neck and in your back. Let's quickly go over your arms and your shoulders. A common mistake that probably comes from too much office work for most of us is that we tend to shrug our shoulders, especially when we're tired. But this wastes energy. Your shoulders need to stay relaxed. If you feel that tension creeping up mid-run, then do some arm shakes to get it down. Then you want your elbows to be close to your sides with your thumbs facing up. You also want to have an easy clenched fist. My old trainer, back when I was a professional triathlete, would always have us run with pens between our elbows and in our hands. And then the goal was to run without losing them, but only just having them squeezed tight enough to stay there without losing them. But the trick was that we could not clench harder than that. Then you want to think of a straight line running down the center of your body. Your hands should never cross it because that causes an imbalance and you will have to work hard to keep that balance instead. Let's talk about how to use your posture and your feet to make gravity work for you instead of against you. Have you ever heard the phrase run tall? It's one of the most used cues for running form. But what does it actually mean? Imagine a pulley pulling you up from your chest. This opens up your hips and keeps your knees aligned. And if you have an office job and you're sitting all day, then your hip flexors are probably tight. This makes it harder to maintain a good posture when you're out running. And it's why a lot of runners are slouching forward. So the first thing you need to do is to stand up at your desk. And then you can use this simple posture drill. First, you stand up with your hands on your hips. Then you rise to the balls of your feet. Next, you fall forward slightly, keeping your posture straight. Then, as you run, use gravity to pull you forward instead of forcing each step. Basically, you just need to think about staying balanced. Now, let's talk about how your feet should land. One of the most debated topics in the running world. Should you heel strike, midfoot strike, or forefoot strike? The truth is, it's not about the foot strike itself, it's about where the feet land. No matter how your feet are landing, they should land just underneath the center of gravity, or just underneath you, or just underneath your hips. So you're probably wondering, if I'm landing out in front of me, how do I fix that? If you're landing out in front of your body, then you're creating what's called a braking force that slows you down and increases the impact that you have to overcome. Let me show you 5 more mistakes that I see almost all runners make and how to fix them. The first one is overstriding, meaning meaning that your feet are landing way out in front of your body. To fix that, have a mental frame of your feet landing behind you. The next mistake is tight shoulders. To fix that, every few minutes, just shake your arms when you're running and then get back to it. The third mistake is having clenched hands. To fix that, imagine that you're holding a potato chip in your hands and you must not crush it, but you must not lose it either. The next mistake is slouching. To fix that, imagine a pulley pulling you up from your chest. And the last mistake is crossing your feet. To fix that, focus on keeping your knees in a straight line and not bending inward. If it's too hard, you need to add some exercises to your hip abductors, like a lying hip abductor. Just do 3 sets of 10 reps 3 times per week. But now you're probably wondering, what about breathing when running? How does that affect running form? As I became a better runner and I started training with better and better training groups and better runners, then I started to notice a pattern. Their breathing wasn't random. Whether they knew it or not, their breathing was rhythmic and tied to their stride. And this rhythm wasn't just a habit. This was a technique they used to optimize their oxygen intake, but also to distribute the impact forces evenly throughout the body. So think of rhythmic breathing as a dance with your steps. When you sync your breath with your stride, you create a natural rhythm that makes it easier for you to maintain composed and run effectively. The pattern I use and that I teach my athletes is a 3-2 pattern, which means that you inhale for 3 steps and exhale for 2 steps. Here's how it works. Start by inhaling as your left and your right and your left foot hit the ground. So then you exhale as your right foot and your left foot hit the ground again. The 3-2 pattern isn't perfect for everyone, but use the principles to create a rhythm of your own. The most important thing is to keep a rhythm and stay in control. But what about running form at different speeds? How do you actually keep good running form when you're running slower? So let's get one thing out of the way first. It is harder to maintain good posture when you're running slower because there is less momentum. But that does not mean that you can't. My old trainer used to tell me that truly great runners could maintain their running form when they ran slow and not just when they were running fast. So when you're running slow, instead of overthinking it, then think about the things that you can actually control. There are 3 ways to control speed. So we can take more steps, longer steps, or a combination of the 2. So start by shortening your stride and keeping your steps per minute high. If that does not work, then you can go to lower steps per minute as well. But I do want to say, elite runners can maintain a 6 minute per kilometer pace with 180 steps per minute with no problems. So don't start there. Alright, so what's the simplest way to think about your running form? First, run tall. Imagine the pulley pulling you up from your chest. Second, relax your arms and your shoulders and release the tension. Third, let gravity pull you forward. Do a slight forward lean from the ankles, but not from the hips. Fourth, land underneath your body and avoid braking with every step. And 5, if you're constantly out of breath, then it's impossible to focus on proper running form.